Peace, what is going on YouTube? Long time no video, about time I make a video. And this one obviously, as you can tell by the title above, is about The Last of Us. It's my thoughts, or whatever you want to call it, review, I guess. Let's get started. Another game by Naughty Dog, and you may hear a couple of Uncharted references within the thoughts or review, because it's very Uncharted-ish. You can tell that Naughty Dog made the game. I'm gonna try to keep this as quick as possible because this is like the third video I'm making, and they've been too long, and I just couldn't be bothered to edit anything whatsoever. So I just kinda started off new one. So let's get started. Basically the game is about this virus that broke out. It could call it a horror game, sort of, but it's not really a horror game. It has somewhat of a theme of a horror game, though it's not really it. At first, I mean, I kind of stayed away from trailers and reviews and anything prior to the game's release, sort of purposely, as well as it being me not being very interested in the game to begin with, because I saw it as a horror game to begin with, because since I was a little kid, I played what was it? Resident Evil 3 on the PS1, and I was a little kid, I shot myself, so I vouched to never play a horror game again. So I stayed away from it, and after, when I sort of started, I saw one clip of the game, and I thought, oh no, I'm gonna stay away from this, and it was the best thing I could do, because this game just overwhelmed me as soon as I played it. So it's a fungus. For those that don't know, this fungus actually does exist in New Guinea, in the rainforest. There is this fungus that gets in contact with insects, and they go all crazy and paranoid, and they climb to the highest point they can. So whether it be a tree or a leaf, whatever it may be, they'll climb to the highest point, and they would eventually die there. And once they die, the body just left there to dry, and the fungus just blooms out of their brain, because that's where it stays. The process just carries on again. So basically, they bloom, and the spores just come down. So the higher you are, the more likely the spores will hit another insect, and so on. So it was a very cool premise to start off a game with something that actually exists in the real world, though it does not affect humans in the real world. And it's the exact same thing in the game. So you get infected by it. The sort of, let's call them zombies. They go crazy, and they just go out and just bite people. I don't know. They just go nuts, and as the longer they stay infected, the longer the infection develops, and then they develop into either clickers or runners. Clickers, basically the fungus just breaks their face in half, and they can only hear, and they just go and just kill you, whatever it is. And then there's runners, which their eyesight is not affected, so they just still run and bite you and kill you and whatever. So that's the threat. Oh, by the way, there'll be plenty of spoilers here. So this was the beginning. So if you haven't played the game, or if you care for spoilers, just go play the game first and then watch the video, because from here on out there will be spoilers. So basically, things lead to things, and you end up having to escort this little girl, which has been bitten by one of these zombies. And she had not gotten infection, so she's basically the cure for mankind. There are three main characters in the game. Well, not main. There's two main characters in the game, so to speak. You play as three characters. You play as Sarah, which is Joel's daughter. You play as Joel, which is the main character that you play the most throughout the game. And then there's Ellie, which is the little girl in the cover of the game. And starting off the game, I mean, you start off in playing as Sarah, Joel's daughter, and you start in her bedroom, and the attention to detail in the game was outrageous, because when I purchased the game, I was given a poster of The Last of Us, and in the front they had the the cover of the game as on the poster, and in the back of the poster, it was a poster of a poster that was in an actual game. So I started playing the game in that bedroom, and I saw that poster, and I'm like, I've seen this somewhere else before. And from then on, I just looked. I didn't leave that room until I saw everything in the room. There was pictures, there was notes, there was posters, there was everything, all sorts of things, and the attention to detail, it was amazing. You fell engaged straight away from the get go. It's very, very immersive. I'm sorry if I'm talking real fast. I just need to get through a lot of stuff. So from the get go, you get really immersed in the whole game, in the whole vibe of the thing. So I left Sarah's bedroom, go on, blah 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 blah. Things lead to each other, and the infection breaks out, and you try to escape with Joel and his daughter, and Joel's his brother, Tommy. I think it is Tommy, his name. So you try to escape the area where you are into some sort of contingency zone, with a safe zone, so to speak. So they drive out, they get into the car crash, and then they just run out while zombies are just attacking everyone and whatnot. They get to this bridge sort of thing, and there's an army guy there, and it tells him to stop, and this is like, the game is really, really emotional, and from like 5 minutes into the game, it almost had me in tears. That's how involved you get into the game, and with the characters. So right there and then, I mean, this guy points at them, tells them to stop. They stop, and then this guy gets on the radio to his boss, or whatever you want to call it, his major, or whatever it may be, and you don't know what he says, but obviously you can imagine he says, just shoot them both or whatever, and the guy says, but there's a little girl. It's like, okay. So he just shoots them both. Miraculously, Joel's brother shows up, shoots the guy in the head, but their head already been shot. Joel's got wounded, and then 2 seconds after, you hear his little daughter Sarah crying, and she's got hit hard, and she dies right there and then, beginning of the game, which sucks, because you feel for her, even though you've just been with this character for like 5 seconds, 5 minutes, sorry. So after that, the time skip, and you back into the future, well, present in the game, but years after that, and you can tell that Joel has been like, he's a broken up man. You can tell that he's done pretty bad things. He's a hardened person. Life made him that way, and basically you gain some deals to do like weapons and whatever. And in order for you to get your stuff back, you need to escort this girl from point A to point B, with her being the cure. And everybody that talks about this game, they talk about the characters and the character relationship and character development. And you cannot talk about this game without mentioning that, because that's where I say that this is not so much of a horror game as much as it being a story game, like sort of like Heavy Rain. It has nothing to do with Heavy Rain, but it gets you that much into the game and that compelled with the story and everything. So you start off as strangers, you and Ellie, and Ellie, she does make the game. The character Ellie makes the game. The graphics, sort of like the graphics in the game are amazing. Like, you know what to expect from Naughty Dog, but they just stepped it up even more from whatever you've seen in Uncharted before. And as soon as you see a little girl in age, not mentally, because she was born into this world where everything's upside down, so she doesn't know any better. So she's hardened already by the way things are. And when you see a little girl just starting to swear and talking shit, you're like, whoa, hold on. So she's likable, and her and Joel start off being strangers to each other, not really liking each other, and the story develops so much that by the end of it all, you're trying to save her. You want to save her life. It's a longish campaign. I mean, it's not a long campaign. It's not short either. For this generation, I mean, it's your average campaign for a major single player game, not like your Call of Duty. The short campaign is shortened those. But I mean, it gets you really emotionally attached to the characters from the get go, and the more you play, the more they connect, and you really see the people. You don't see the characters. You see the people that they're portraying. Um, so it voice acting, everything like face mapping, the whole game is looks amazing, and like, that's probably what makes you connect with it so much, is the fact that things just look sharp, they look good, and they look believable. Um, not no okay, not giving too much away from the plot of the game because I don't want to spoil it that much. Well, I will spoil the end because it has to be talked about. Um, but you get from point A to point B to find out that things aren't there anymore, so you need to go somewhere else. So in that meantime, you play as Ellie, and you see how much the character's developed from this girl that has been in need of help to get through certain situations. Now she's doing everything on her own. I mean, she's hunting, she's killing people, she's killing all sorts of people. And Joel's side, you've seen a locked up man, like, as far as character goes, that has opened up to Ellie and has become somewhat of a father to her, in a sense where she's replacing the daughter that he has lost. Um, so character is everything in this game. The characters make the game, especially Ellie, because how many games have you played where the side characters are just getting in the way? In this case, they don't. Like, she doesn't. She does make the game, and she plays it out really, really good. So at the end of it all, trying to wrap this up quickly, they get to their final destination, where Joel gets knocked out. He wakes up in a hospital bed where he's told that Ellie, in order for Ellie to go through with it, and basically they're trying to make a vaccine. They're trying to reverse engineer a vaccine to save mankind. And in order for them to do that, she has to die because obviously as mentioned before, the fungus is lodged in the brain. So they have to open her brain up, trying to reverse engineer a cure out of it. And Joel is not having that. And this game, throughout the whole game, I mean, this is a post-apocalyptic scenario, and you're scavenging for everything you can find, and that's how immersive the game gets you. I mean, there's points in the game where you go walk into a room where there's fungi all over the place and spores just floating about, and I found myself holding my breath while I'm going through that, and this is a game. So that tells you how much immersive it gets. And at that point, whereas anywhere in the game, you're just taking your time scavenging for health packs, for tools to make stuff. At that particular point, when you're told that she has to die, I did not care two fucks, excuse my language, for any sort of items that could be anywhere. I just wanted to get to her and save her. There was no time limit, there was no nothing, but it was just, that's how much the game gets you into it. So I couldn't care less about health packs or anything. I just killed everything I could see. I went to town with it. I mean, I used everything I had saved up, all my arsenal. I just dropped bombs, shot people. I would have bit them to death if I had to. I mean, punched people, all sorts. We finally get to Ellie. There was a doctor and two nurses in the room. I couldn't care if they'd done anything or not. I just killed them all, and I ran out with her. And right at the bottom of the lift, you find this Firefly. That's the gang. This Firefly chick, and she's basically telling you, listen, it's either a girl or mankind, and you don't care. You just shoot it. Done. And you drive out. Ellie gains consciousness while you're in the car, and she asks Joel, where am I, what am I wearing? She says, well, he lies to her, basically. And this is where the whole game is just like, wow, that's how it ends. He lies to her, and he tells her that there were more people infected just like her that had not been able to provide those guys with anything, so there was no cure. And they left. And then you play again right at the end. You just walk. And she asks Joel if everything that he said to her about the Fireflies was true. And again, he concurs and he says, yes, it was true, everything is true. And the game ends right there. So it was a fitting end, even though it was a lie. But, I mean, you see how much the game developed from these two strangers that could, like, Joel was in it for himself, to get his money, to get his weapons, and she was there to sacrifice herself because she knew that she was salvation for mankind. To them, at the end, being a father and daughter, so to speak, in as a relationship, where they, the whole thing that they went through got them together, and he lied to her in order to save her life. So I mean, overall, I would say go out and buy this game. This game should be played. It's crime not to play this game. Um, it's if you don't have a PS3, you get one and play it. If not, just borrow one from your friends, whatever it may be. You gotta play this game. And if there is a sequel coming for the PlayStation 4, I mean, if they ever make one, I hope they keep up everything that they've done so far, and that things just get better. Because I could imagine, I could see it as a sequel being made. You playing as Ellie when she's older, and then that's her trying to find a cure, find other people, wherever it may be. I don't know. But that could be a sequel if they leave it as it is. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, the game is a standalone game on its own. Doesn't owe anything to Uncharted, but you see a lot of Uncharted in it. Apart from the jumping and climbing, there's none of that, and I think that was done purposely so you don't see them as being the same. I mean, in Uncharted where you jump a gap, here you'd get a ladder, put it down, and walk over it. So things like that differ the both games. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a great game. People should go out and play it, borrow it, whatever, maybe rent it. But it's definitely worth playing. You owe yourself to play this game. It's that good. It's the closest you'll get to a movie. Let's just put it that way. Because it's very believable. It's very realistic. And that's my review for the game, or my thoughts, or whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I don't ask for these things. If you want to, you want to. If you don't, tough stuff. That's that, guys. Peace, take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Hopefully soon rather than later. Peace.